crush all the struggles and pressures that get in your way, big or small, minor or major. We all are fighting demons that others do not know about. But it's how you handle it that makes it look easy. Shop at Mile.today. Again, Mile, MILE.today. Mile.today.
Hey guys, this is Katie Nip. Be sure to check out my new album, Me. It's on every platform in existence, but Bandcamp is my favorite.
What up, testing. 1 2 1 2. Are we on? Looks like we are. Hey, this is D-Cal, host of the E.I.T.H.R podcast. How you guys doing?
Here we go, a show to slowly unfold some views that's in the news that make us uncomfortable. You never heard this podcast is broadcasting contrast of popular opinion. Stop that, assuming that you knew every view that's brewing. So keep it moving. If you got any sense, then you're welcome to put two so in. Listen in, relax, chill, take a breather, and let D-Cal put y'all onto the ether.
What up? It's your boy D-Cal here, hosting the E.I.T.H.R podcast, episode number 147. How's everyone doing out there, man? We're coming live to you from Northern California. So for those of you who are returning to the E.I.T.H.R podcast for episode 147, welcome back. And to anybody who happens to stumble across the podcast for the very first time, much appreciate. The E.I.T.H.R podcast is the elephant in the room where we talk about topics and discussions and things that you may not necessarily have with your peers, but the whole point of this is not necessarily to change your opinion, but more so, even if you leave this podcast still disagreeing, you want to have a better idea with what you're disagreeing with. So there's that. Social media, you can hit us on the E.I.T.H.R, THEEITHR, on Instagram as well as Twitter. The way we like to do things here is we tend to start things off with inspirational, motivational. We like to give shots out to kind of people to give credit where credit is potentially due in cases. Also, if you want to reach us via phone, area code 916-282-9372. So let's go ahead and do inspirational, motivational right quick, man. This is something we put on the social medias. And it states, accept people as they are, but place them where they belong. That's to me, a very crucial quote, because people are going to be different, right? You're not going to be a perfect match for every single person that's cookie cutter, because that's kind of boring to have a bunch of yes women, yes men. Everyone thinks identically the same. There's no variation anywhere in the mix, and you can't expand, you can't grow from that. So it's always good to have people that may vary from you, and by doing that you kind of be able to I've always had a struggle with that word, compartmentalize. Be able to organize them and place them in different spots where they fit accordingly. I've always had struggles with that word, compartmentalization. I know I stumbled it, I mumbled it, whatever. You know what the hell I'm talking about. So you have friends that you can go out and kick it with. You have friends that you can sit back and chill with. You have friends who you can have certain conversations with. You got friends that you go play pool with. You got friends that you just can't take out in public. You accept who they are, but you have them in categories that that suits them best, and you deal with them accordingly. Same thing with people in your life, bro. Like, if you got somebody who's someone who likes to gossip and just a bunch of bullshit, only deal with that person when you're in the mood to gossip and bullshit, right? Don't bring them around somebody who's very militant, very rigid, very strict. It's going to cause problems, right? It's going to cause problems. And I tend to be a social butterfly, so I tend to mingle with a lot of people and try to learn how to maneuver in any type of environment that I may happen to be. So if you guys can go ahead and do the same thing for yourselves, you might have a better quality of people in your life. And those who can't accept you for who you are, well, they can put you in the category of leave me the fuck alone. What we want to do here is also give a shout out to GNS Entertainment. Man, GNS Entertainment is the music aspect. They also deal with the film, movies, shows, shorts, things of that nature that we produced, we put out, and projects that's coming in the near future. So GNS Entertainment, man, they released 5 new tracks that came out at midnight last night, or midnight this morning, however you wanna call it. So you can go to YouTube, do decal, and on the Instagram they put a link and to the Spotify, but you can also go to YouTube and look for it as well. I believe they produced a video where you can, if you like on a computer, you can scan the QR code and it automatically takes you to that specific account. So I just want to give a shout out to them, man. They got listenership. You know, we branching out over there, and we got Ecuador, Chile. We have listenership in Peru. Much respect to you guys. Thank you very much for that. United Kingdom, Hungary, Germany, Cambodia, South Korea, Japan, Australia, Honduras. We got spots in Canada as well. There's places, you know, listening to the music that we produce. So, you know, much appreciate. Thank you very much for that. Like I said, you can go to at GNS Entertainment. We're also going to put something in the either social medias to kind of, you know, link the two together, so you can check the music out, man. There's a lot of music that you can put for any type of occasion, whether you want something for work, if you want something to relax with. Working on some ASMR type of music where you can just zone out with this music. You can also listen to if you want to go to the gym, you know, get your workout on. Shout out to MJ at Dashmart. I can't remember the name of the car club or the club that she's associated with, but she was telling me how they play music when they have events and things of that nature, man. And I was like, yo, is it kind of like faster? Because she has like a sick ass Honda Civic. I think she says a Type R, and it's a beautiful little thing. And I was like, look, I'm not in that world. I used to be back when I lived in the Bay Area. Knew some people who was, you know, in the car club and stuff like that. I was like, is it anything like Fast and Furious? I was watching those movies, and I have a song that's very similar to something like that, where, you know, you pop the clutch and drop it in gear and hit the NOS button, and you just, and she's like, dude, it's nothing like that. And she like laughed. I'm like, all right, well, we'll listen to these music anyway, and just tell me if it makes you want to get into a race with somebody on a highway, you know, or if you're just trying to avoid rush traffic, you know, rush hour traffic. And she's like, all right, I'll let you know. So the whole thing is we got a repertoire of sounds for everybody. We got mellow, we got something you can have dinner to, something, you know, a little bit for everything, something for the kids to listen to. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. Also, GNSETV.com. It's our very own TV channel, TV station, streaming channel. As if Netflix and YouTube merged together. That's what that is. So it's a free subscription. Go ahead and check that out over there. Appreciate that. Trying to create a platform that will rival some of the platforms that are traditionally ran by corporate America or people who just are out of touch with the people. So that's what that is. But those are the shout outs I'm going to give them: GNS ETV, GNS Entertainment. I'm going to make this episode extremely brief just because it's Friday and I got some things I got to do this weekend. There was an Instagram post that I saw. It may have been on TikTok of John McCain when he was alive, and the caption was something like, when politics was before a particular individual. And John McCain was the Republican candidate for presidency. Barack Obama was the Democratic candidate for the presidency. And in this video, it kind of talks about, it shows McCain at an event, and somebody was like, I don't like Obama, I don't respect Obama, I don't respect the Arabs, And McCain kind of goes on and says, listen, there's no reason for you to be afraid of Barack Obama. There's no reason for you to be upset. There's no need to be scared. He's a decent human being, And the crowd started to boo him. And then it cuts to this other woman who speaks about how she doesn't like him. She read about him, and he's an Arab. And McCain's like, no. She's like, no. It was almost her. You don't see her face. You see the back of her. And her whole demeanor while she was talking to him was, you can tell she's speaking on something she was unsure about, but she was confident she was right because no one's corrected her. So this must be true. So when McCain was like, no, that's not true. Like, oh, that's not right. You can kind of tell, like, she realized, oh, I got wrong information. And McCain goes on to say, he's a decent family man. Listen, we just happen to disagree on fundamental aspects about how the country should be ran. And that's it. But he's a good dude. He's not what you guys are saying. And then the second half of the video cuts into Obama speaking at McCain's funeral, because McCain requested that if I should pass, I would like you to speak at my funeral. And so Barack is giving a speech. George W. Bush is there. The Clintons are there. Yo, Bush loved Michelle Obama, boy. He loved Michelle Obama. It's wild. Like, that man was glowing. Every time he's next to Michelle, he would glow. And so, it's interesting to be reminded, and someone said this in the comment section of that video, is they're competitors. They're not enemies. And it seems for the past few years, candidates have been going at each other as if they're enemies. And at least my opinion, their base tends to attack each other accordingly. It seems, from my memory, you always had bantering going back and forth. You always had people saying what they had to say about something. But no one necessarily, I guess you can say, attacked anybody verbally. You had your comments, sure. You had, your slick talk. But it wasn't anything to where it is now, with insurrections and violent acts at protests and things of that nature, bro. And I wish we can get back to a time where folks could have more civilized discussions on agreements or disagreements when it came to politics. Right now, there's a lot of unnecessary bantering going on, and I don't like it personally. It's almost like people kind of out shit talk one another, and I connect it to sports. And this is going to be like the last day I talk about politics for a while, but you can't escape it, right? You have to pick a side. And it appears, man, if you don't pick a side, then both sides don't like you. It's interesting, though. It's really interesting. But I just wanted to bring mention to that because at one point in time, not too long ago, if candidates didn't like each other, they just simply didn't like each other in the sense of agreeing. You didn't have to hate each other, but I've kind of made the point that, people put that out there because it's easier for them to sell you if they give you something to look down on. And regardless of what side of the fence you're on, seems to be the strategy, right? We can charge more if we can get them to hate more because they'll buy with emotion. And I've said this months ago. We shop with logic, but we buy with emotion. So if I can get you to emotionally be imbalanced, I can pick your pocket. Because I can sell you on why this is important or why buying this is not important. It's an easy strategy for people to manipulate. Sports do it on a regular basis, bro. You have sports hate, you have sports rivalries, and some fan bases take it to the most extreme. And politics has now become part of the entertainment business. I mean, when you got a professional wrestler endorsing you to get the crowd hype, it's a game. It's a game. Social media and Twitter at the E.I.T.H.R. If you're to be POTUS, President of the United States of America, what would be some things you would change, correct, or implement? Mine are really simple. When it comes to financial education, I would make it mandatory. Again, this is me and my make-believe world, right? I would make it mandatory where financial literacy is taught in schools, right? The importance of banking. Old school, keep a checkbook. I know you got your statement on your phone, but every now and then, wasn't it not too long ago where they had a glitch and banks shut down, and for nearly 2 weeks people didn't have access to their accounts, and my own girl, her bank was affected and her balance was off, and so I would make it mandatory where you have financial education in schools at a young age and work your way up, right? Again, I'm sure they don't have that because if you knew what was going on, it would be harder for them to pull the wool over your eyes because you are aware. But that's one thing I would do, financial literacy. Second thing I would do is if buildings such as commercial buildings have been vacant for approximately 5 years or longer, then those buildings will be eligible for housing the homeless. And they will be given programs to organizations who are committed to rehabilitation of those people. So you will have courses and classes, and depending on what the education is of people, you would have junior high school courses, junior college courses, university courses, according to, who's there. And they will be able to go to school, and they will be able to, it's almost like a dormitory, a rehab/dormitory. And at the end of said program that they all have in line, we will find the next step according to what they qualify for, what they're interested in, and what is the next step they want to pursue. That's what I would do as president. Third thing I would do as president, I would, in the case of having to go to war for whatever reason, what I would do is I would simply go to the prison, find anyone who has a minimum 20 years, minimum of 20 years or more, double, triple life sentences, death row inmates, so on and so forth, right? I will go there and I will put in a petition. And the petition would be something similar like this. Depending on the crime, the severity of the crime, how much time they have served, so on and so forth, you would have an opportunity, and this would obviously for like the more violent offenders, gang members, mob bosses, serial killers, people like that. You have the opportunity to join this branch of the military. You can pick which branch of the military you want. And that particular branch of the military would have a special unit for people such as these groups for combat. Now, you're going to go to war. You want to kill motherfuckers over here. You want to shoot. You want to stab. You want to maim. You want to torture. Okay, cool. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you in the shit. You are going to be in the front line. Now, you're going to be treated like a soldier. You're going to get the similar access to everything like a soldier. If you survive, your sentence will be highly reduced or marked as time served, depending on your tour in this particular situation. That's what I would do with those who are serving 20 years or more, based on behavior, based on severity of their crime, based on the intel from prison. You will have this option to earn less time and or your freedom. Next thing I would do, current veterans who happen to have served in the military up until that point. This is me. This is how I see it. This is how I look at it. This is how I will handle it. Y'all gonna live in a certain area within the neighborhoods. You will have special accounts with monthly limits, but you would have significantly discounted everything. Discounted housing prices, discounted car prices, utility bills, food, the ability to grow your own college education for your children, college education for your family. Everything would be highly discounted because of what you did for us. One of the issues that I see from people who serve in the military is you come back home to a place that doesn't appreciate you, right? You come back to a neighborhood who didn't give a fuck whether you made it or not. They don't know who you are. And the sacrifices that you had to give up, you can never get that back. I just lean towards, if I'm at war and I know if I make it, I'm going to get so taken care of, it's not even going to be funny. The college education option, I'm sure that's cool for a lot of people. But how many people get careers in the field that they majored in? I went to college for. Not many of them. So the college option to me, okay, I might keep it around if I was president of the United States. I might allow that program to stay because I'm sure somebody could benefit from it. But my whole thing is, it's so annoying to see veterans struggling. There's no reason, bro. No reason on God's green earth with a blue sky. A veteran who served in the military should be homeless. I don't get that shit. I don't understand how that works. That shouldn't be. There should not be a reason why we can tell homeless where they can't be, but can't figure out where they can. I don't get that part. I just don't understand that aspect of thinking. Doesn't make sense to me. Those are a few things that I would do to change up if I happen to rule the country and had some say so. Unfortunately, that's not how the world works. And if it did work that way, it probably would be a lot different than the one we got now. But I will say this. If I was your next president, shit will be different. It would definitely be different. I would also, one last thing. If I was president of the United States, I would probably take some of the money that we have from war, right? And I would accordingly increase the pay of teachers, people in the medical world, as well as law enforcement. Because think of it this way, bro. If you think you are being underpaid at your job, whatever you may be due for work, doesn't really matter. You think you're underpaid for that. I want you to understand. Take that same feeling you got, that pay that you currently are making, and put you in a room with 15, 20, 25 kids, all with short attention spans, all with discipline issues at home, all with other medical issues not to their fault. And then you have to try to get these children to focus, all while having to answer to parents who enable that behavior, who would much rather side with their undisciplined child versus the teacher who's trying to teach them the education that the parents don't even help with homework. Imagine having that career, right? Imagine having a job where your job is to stop crime and in an area where nobody can find jobs because they live in that area. Because you live in this section, we don't want to hire you for the risk of what you may possibly do. Imagine every time you pull somebody over, you stop somebody from doing something, you run the risk of dealing with someone who's stressed out. How stressed would you be if you had to do that shit for 8-10 hours a day? I get it. And that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother topic, right? most of them are they're dealing with financial issues as well, right? Everybody is. And I'm not talking about those cops. I'm talking about the good ones who are actually trying to do their job, man. It's rough, but that's what I would do if I was a police officer. I mean, if I was president of the United States, I would increase the pay to help fight off any type of financial struggle for people in high risk, high stress type of jobs. That's just me. So, one last thing I want to give a shout out, not even a shout out really, but it's more of I want to talk about this. My computer is acting a certain type of way. Hold on one moment. Give me one quick second. I'm sorry about that, y'all. Okay. I believe the name Sonya Masse. I believe that's her name. Sonya Masse. She is the woman who was just killed by the law enforcement officer for allegedly possibly throwing hot water at him. And there's a video that goes, and in the beginning it shows when they first, get to the house where she's at. This woman, let them know that she took medication. She's on med. She had a mental condition, and that she took her meds. And I guess somebody was breaking her into her house, or she thought someone was breaking into her house. Anyway, body cam shows she's in the kitchen. You guys go ahead and look at the video, man. It's a clear-cut video that shows she did not do what the officer who killed her said she did. It was evident. It didn't happen. If I was president of the United States and there comes to be a situation where there was an unjustifiable murder by someone in the law enforcement, shit's gonna get real for you, bro. You have a high-risk job, 100% understand. You have a high-risk job. But at the same time, you're dealing with a mental patient. And I personally, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I've seen videos, read articles, heard stories of police dealing with folks with mental issues in the past, of certain demographics, and they are able to use less threatening tactics to subdue, detain, or arrest individuals. unless these officers are being told by somebody in the department, if you ever in your shadow of a doubt feel your life is in danger, do what you need to do to get away and make sure you go home. I don't understand how a woman taking a pot off of the stove, going to the sink, putting it back on the stove, after she says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," she doesn't make any gestures, bro, to do anything to harm anybody. And it's in a time that we are right now, man, it's extremely difficult to get any empathy from people because we are in a world right now full of apathy. No one gives a shit about anything unless it happens to them directly. And there's a country full of people who feel that way. Keep in mind, for all of you who think this will never happen to me, that shit was also said to somebody right before it happened to them. And it's not a good feeling when the shoe is on the other foot. When you're now a victim of what you said would never happen. And all of a sudden now you want the world to feel sorry for you. Dealing with a mental patient in law enforcement, especially in a world where everybody's on pills because everybody's in pain. There has to be some type of training. There has to be some type of procedure that's taken. Some type of course of action that needs to be done when dealing with situations like that. So maybe the police department needs to offer more martial art hand-to-hand combat training. Because I can tell you right now, if that person that was killed were to have a weapon, matter of fact, there's a video of a gentleman, I can't remember my man's name, but I got it on my social media. He and his girlfriend got into a dispute, and he's on his patio. And his patio door is open. He's standing in front of the cops, in front of his patio, in his living room, door open, talking to the police officers, and he's letting them know my rifle is right here. And he's like, "Listen, your partner and your partner will have a clear shot at me before I even get to my gun." And, you know, he makes a gesture to turn around and run to the patio. Situations like that, I can understand because he told you the gun is right there. I get it. Adrenaline. I get it. I get it. I don't. Taser. You know what I'm saying? But again, I understand situations where you know there's a weapon involved, such as a rifle, a gun. Okay. A knife, a sword, a bat. You got tasers, bro. You got batons. Anyway. That's how I feel about that, bro. That's just me. I'm not really, I don't know, man. When will shit stop? That's it. How many more people would need to get killed unnecessarily for someone to want to care? How many more people? I don't know, man. To me, that just is annoying. It truly is. And it doesn't help when it's in everybody's faces. I get it. I know people have their opinions about the situation. And some people are going to speak one way simply because they know it's going to piss other people off. And then there's other people who are literally trying to make a difference in the world. shit like this just makes it harder. I know Candace Owens had said a comment about how it wasn't racially motivated. I don't agree with her. I understand where she's coming from. And it's probably because it's the low-hanging fruit, white cop, black woman. I get it. There's a history. There's a trend. But she's looking at it as the cop. But, I don't know how she's looking at it. My guess is she's looking at it, hey, it was a situation, cop didn't know what was going on, he was fearful. My thing is, at what point does a pot of boiling water deserve to take someone's life? I can understand taser. I understand the taser. I get the yeah. But when you tell the person, if you throw that water, I'm gonna shoot you in your fucking face, end quote. It's almost premeditated. It's like if someone gives you a verbal threat if you do something, and then they do it. I know, FO, but what people don't want to acknowledge, when you are in certain positions such as political position, law enforcement, your expectations are different, bro. Your set of standards are completely different. It's not the same as civilians. You have a higher expectation to maintain certain forms of courtesy, certain forms of professionalism, certain forms of standard. You can't. Because if you break down and drop down to everyone else's level, you're no better than the people you're trying to arrest. And again, I'm sure these cats are under a lot of stress, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of pressure. 100% I get it. No question. But the sad part about it is, this is the job you signed up for. And I know there's a lot going on within those precinct walls that we don't hear, we don't see, we're not privy to. The sucky part about it is, man, that's your job. That's the career you wanted. You gotta take that. It's a shitty deal. It's a shitty deck you've been handed. I get it. The cards are not in your favor, but that's the game you chose to play. She didn't. Anyway, it's Decal, man, with the E.I.T.H.R podcast. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I hope everyone's out there safe. I know here in Northern California, the temperatures drop like 400 degrees, so it's nice outside. It's in the low mid-90s, so everyone's happy. And that's how sucky it is when it's in the 90s. Everyone's happy about it. Anyway, follow us on social media, E.I.T.H.R on Instagram, on Twitter. Shout out to GNS Entertainment, GNS ETV. We'll be back next time. We out.